Hi, I'm IKEA, and for today's video I want to give a build showcase on Hotshot, and especially Hotshot in combination with HeadHunter and Determined, as that is a very good combo, as a lot of people have found out recently, as it's been active for quite a while, with Determined being quite overpowered, making it one of two meta builds, I would say, for especially solo farming with 5 directives. It is very strong, and we'll show it off today. We'll talk about the synergies of it as well. As always, I'll be using my build collection and one build picture out of there. We'll be talking about some variants of that build picture as we go through. And as with all build showcases, it'll be split up into 2 chapters. In the first chapters, we'll go over the build. For this one, we won't go into any of DPS numbers. We'll take it to the range, and I'll discuss the mechanics of each of the separate parts of Hotshot, of Determined, and HeadHunter separately, and how, in the end, they all interact all back together, because that's very much the synergy of this build. It is all 3 parts working together really well. And in the second chapter, we'll take it into some gameplay, mostly solo, as this is very much, to me, a solo 5 directive farming build. And we'll go through several things we can do with it for farming wise. And at the end of it as well, we'll turn on Reanimated, which is available for these for this week and in future as well, of course. And especially with Reanimated and this build, you can farm quite fast and hard. So yeah, let's jump into the build layout. And here we have the build as we will be running it for today. It is 4 pieces of Hotshot, a Chain Killer, an Araldi backpack with Vigilance, paired with a White Death with Determined, Nemesis here, although we'll be using multiple of the exotics, Sharpshooter as a specialization, especially for this drone, and we'll be using several skills alongside of it. To start off with our Hotshot, which is the base of the build. At 2 pieces, we gain some marksman rifle damage and weapon handling. Both are quite handy, especially the weapon handling as well for the reload, if you have to reload, which you often won't if you play it right. With 3 pieces, we get headshot damage, synergizing well with the build, of course, as well. And with the 4-piece, we get the mechanic of Hotshot. Now, it is how it is worded here is exactly how it works. The first headshot with a marksman rifle will increase the next headshot by 20%, meaning that, yeah, the first shot will not be amplified by 20%. The next shots will. The second consecutive headshot, so you need to have 2 in a row. Each time you do not have a headshot, it will drop off. That also includes missing. That also, for instance, if you miss or if you even hit, for instance, red barrels in the world or something, if you shoot stuff like that, or weak points, for instance, or body shots, you would lose it. Although, of course, we're using a thing which will turn weak point shots or body shots into headshots, which will work for this, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. The second consecutive headshot with a marksman rifle will give +10 armor, and if at full armor, it will give bonus armor, basically. This will be a decent healing mechanic as you will go through it. The third consecutive headshot will refill the magazine. And this is a very strong effect of this, because it will refill it not from your ammo reserves, but just out of thin air. And this, of course, allows us to bypass a lot of the ammo directives, especially, for instance, Pistolero. You can bypass it with this. But then as well, from the 4th headshots forward, agents will get all 3 bonuses for each consecutive headshot kill. Meaning that once you have a chain of 3, each consecutive shot will give you all 3 bonuses at once. So these other ones are per 1. So the first headshot doesn't give you anything, but then for the second headshot, you have a bonus of that 20%. And then when you hit that second one, you're hitting it with a bonus of 20%, and you're getting then your bonus armor. When you go for the third one, you do not have that 20% anymore. That was only for that second shot, but you do have now that if you hit the third headshot, you will get your ammo refilled. And then from the 4th headshot onwards, all three will be active on each shot. So you'll be refilling your ammo, you'll be getting 10% armor, and you'll be doing 20% bonus damage. Meaning that it is quite important to keep that chain up. It will feel pretty good when you do, and you will, it will be quite the damage increase. And of course, as well, refilling your ammo, healing yourself back up as well and such. And yeah, that's quite handy. Now, if we move on to HeadHunter, where we're using Chainkiller here as the named version, you could go as well with having 2 pieces of Habsburg in the slots where we're using the high ends as an option. You will give up perfect HeadHunter, but you will receive the same amount of weapon damage, and on top of that, even more headshot damage, because Habsburg second piece will give 15 MMR damage, where Araldi only gives 10%. So it is covering for both the bonuses of Walker and Harris and Araldi together, and on top of that, you're getting headshot, but then you're dropping off to normal HeadHunter. But with perfect HeadHunter, the only increase is how much you store up per shot. And it isn't really a real requirement to store up more than the normal variant. So 2 pieces Habsburg is an option here, but Habsburg comes with blue cores. These are pieces where you have talents as well. So you would need both stats to be the one you want, plus the talent to be the one you want, so you can record the core from blue to red, making those pieces pretty, well, some of the best known unicorns. Quite hard to get, and also I wouldn't per se recommend it unless you're really going for min-maxing. I would spend that time more getting exotic components and getting the weapon to grade 20, for instance, over that. Although if you have the weapon already at full grade, then and you want the different extra bonus, then yes, go for it. But we'll be discussing it in this very version with Chainkiller and Araldi. And HeadHunter is mechanically pretty easy to understand once you use it quite a bit. And that is that when you kill an enemy with a headshot, you will basically store that amount into basically a canister that just holds it. Your next headshot will do that amount with an additional 120 or 150% with perfect and 25% with normal amount of it, plus the headshot that you're dealing at the time you're dealing it, meaning that your first shot is basically just your first shot. Your second shot is your first shot plus 150%, 150% of your first shot, and then your full second shot as well. Meaning that it stacks up pretty quickly to become a huge number, as most of us will know. And this caps at, for this build, at 1250%. If you were to be below 150 headshot damage, you would cap at 800. This build, of course, is going way over 150 headshot damage, as everything is roll to headshot damage. But we'll go over the stats, especially in the build layout, build picture in a second. The other piece here is an Araldi backpack with Vigilance. And of course, Vigilance, we're using it here for, it is one of the best bonuses. Especially, you want to have your first shot be the most damaging one. And usually with the first shot, you're not really in combat yet, meaning that you will have a good uptime on this Vigilance when you need it the most, which is with that first shot. Because a lot of people as well, for instance, consider things like Unstoppable Force, especially the newer version, which has a much higher cap in reality than even with giving up that brand bonus, it has a much higher cap for HeadHunter. Well, it has a higher cap, not a much higher cap than Vigilance. But of course, it's not on the first shot. It is, you need to make 5 kills and then it has a higher cap. Vigilance especially is important here for me because this build is at the edge of where it can one-shot a purple just by itself, a regular purple, an assault purple. And without Vigilance, it actually falls just below that for the white death. So I really like having this because especially with what I'll be using it mostly for, which is CPing. there will always be a purple in a solo CP. You will always have one purple with the initial wave, and you just headshot that one to start everything going. And yeah, of course, brand bonus wise as well, Araldi is here for its marksman rifle bonus, and same here with Chainkiller with the weapon damage bonus. Both of these, the Headhunter scales off of weapon damage and total weapon damage. It is basically whatever your white damage is, so your damage without headshot, without crit, that is what it is scaling off of, meaning that bonuses like weapon damage, all weapon damage, specific weapon damage, total weapon damage, all of those things are quite important to it and raise the cap. Headshot, for instance, does not raise that cap. But of course, headshot will help you with the shot that you're making. So it is important. Let's move on to our other thing, the other talent that is the main showcase here, which is Determined. And Determined is best shown, and yeah, it is, well, easy to explain. It is quite easy to not understand what is happening. And wording wise, it is actually what it is. After killing an enemy with a headshot, the next headshot landed on any enemy will be a guaranteed headshot. What this basically means that once you have made one headshot, and that kills an enemy, you will have Determined up. From that point, any shot that hits an enemy, their body, weak points, their toe, doesn't matter, will count as an headshot. And if it kills him, it will reignite Determined. Meaning that if you can keep killing, you can keep rechaining Headhunter or Determined. And that Determined will keep up Headhunter as well. And because every shot, even when body shots, will count as headshots, it will also re-trigger Hotshot. So it is quite synergistic in that way, keeping both headshot going and Hotshot going, Headhunter going and Hotshot going by doing headshots. As yeah, we have a lot of similar terms here. And to most of us, we would consider Determined actually broken. I still kind of do, but at this point, it has been active in the game for more, well, it has been changed twice. Once it was introduced the way it is currently now, they changed it to be quite different, the same way that the perfect one works, where if you hit a body shot, it will not, even if you get a kill with it, it will not reignite Determined. And then they turn that back into how it is now. And that has been that way for quite a while. The last change that they did to us is months ago at this point, where they only changed the wording. So at this point, it's safe to say that they may intend it to be this way. And that's also why for a lot of people, we're now like, okay, using it. Because I wasn't in the past, because it feels broken, and we'll see in the gameplay why I feel that way about it. But at this point, yeah, it's fine. I'm okay using it, and I'm okay showcasing it at this point. It seems obvious that they're not going to change it. It's here to stay. So we might as well discuss it. For the other weapon here, I'm using Nemesis. The Nemesis is here for one specific purpose, and that is if I run into very dangerous enemies like rogues, then the Nemesis is quite handy to get actual really high damage headshots out if the White Death can't pull enough damage out of it. Also have D50 with Determined. I likely won't be using this, and I'll show a trick how I'll be getting ammo instead of using this pistol with Pistolero active. Of course, specialization-wise, we're locking ourselves basically into the TAC 50. It has too many good bonuses, and we'll discuss a few of them in a second before we go into the tactics. And especially the TAC 50 itself is quite useful to this build as well. Skills-wise, I really enjoy using this Technician drone, and I'll show it in gameplay in a second. If you have never seen this thing before, it is amazing and one of the best things that you could have, especially with 5 directives of, and it works really well with it. Currently, with cool skills, we have these are the weeks where we have some issues with cool skills, and you can't use many of the skills. I'll be using a decoy. I'll just be tossing. You can't toss the skill currently. That's the issue with cool skills. I'll be just dropping it at my feet. here and there just to get out of the way of enemies quite easily. Normally, I would oftentimes have foam here just to make enemies pop out of cover. But yeah, we have choices of a lot of different skills, and you can kind of pick what you like. Sometimes Blinder Firefly is also handy. EMP Sticky is, of course, handy against some things like mini tanks and warhounds. Even, for instance, sometimes having a turret or a drone can be handy, as they can also push, well, turret in this case, having that to push enemies out of cover, which is quite handy, even with the assault drone or something, you just send it after an enemy. So yeah, there are a lot of choices there to be had, or just even a normal pulse, as vision is a quite important thing for this build. Yeah, let's move on to the build picture and discuss its stats. And here we have the build picture, and of course this will be linked down below, as always, and you can view it at your own leisure. What I'll point out here, of course, is that it's all headshots all the way down, and the other stats will have two places where we can pick different stats. We're picking weapon handling. Weapon handling helps a little bit. If we have to reload, it helps a little bit with that. Of course, we have a ton already on the from Hotshot gearset as well. And as well, it helps a tiny amount with the sway. And it helps a tiny amount with the amount of time that it takes after you stop moving for the accuracy of the rifle to go back to being perfect. Because when you're running around, you lose accuracy of the rifle. It won't, even if you fire, it won't go to the center. It'll basically have a radius that the shot will land in. It will take a little bit of time for it to focus back in and be perfectly accurate. Weapon handling does help with that as well. For this build, we have 337 headshot. We're just going all in on headshot, basically. On the weapon itself, actually, I didn't discuss it in the weapon there, but with the White Death, I go for damage to targets out of cover, but as its third attribute. But there is actually a case to be made as well for either going as well damage to health, especially, or damage to armor with those two. Mostly because some of the things you will be shooting will be in cover once you start shooting at them, especially when enemies are being shot at range. They will try to take cover quite quickly. So there is a case to be made there that you will often have enemies into cover. Why I do still pick damage to targets out of cover is I really care about this, especially on the first shot, how much damage the rifle can do. And usually on that first shot, we are not engaged in combat yet. I just get to pick whatever target I still want. They'll be out of cover. And then DTOG is still the biggest bonus, because I'll be mostly using this at CPs again, and we'll be shooting at a purple. So it would be drop. The other option for me for that instance would be damage to armor, and that would be 6% versus 10%. Will it make a difference? No, I mean, either choice is basically fine, but just to outline that here. Here as well, you see me have a Mantis as a secondary, and the Mantis is also a decent choice alongside the White Death Determined. Either or, I would say. The Mantis, especially having that it shows heads, is quite handy. Although I'll be using, of course, a drone to spot everything for me. So, but the Mantis is the other great option in that slot. I'll be using the Nemesis almost exclusively. We might equip a Mantis just to show its gameplay as well. I have the numbers here with Vigilance, Headhunter, and Hotshot full. Determined up as well, although Determined doesn't add anything into damage. And especially this White Death, it's reaching 27 million, means especially for things like CPs and such, it will be able to kill anything, including almost all of the named. So unless it is a heavy named or an LMG named, it will kill them with one shot still. And that is the important number here. The Mantis almost reaches up to that, because it's usually around 25 million for some of the names. Especially assault names are usually sometimes a little bit around that number, that you will need around 25-ish mil, which the White Death exceeds and the Mantis just doesn't. And of course, the White Death here as well has Determined, and Determined is the mechanic we'll be making heavy use of as well. The Nemesis here with 56 million, of course, exceeds anything else with its options. And that's really the reason I sometimes still do actually use it in there. Even as well, if, for instance, doing an elite territory control or something where you have only elites to start off with, I would either grab the TAC 50 or the Nemesis to take the first shot, getting a big headhunter into the pool, getting a kill with it as well, of course, right away, and then moving on from there. Because the White Death would not be able to one-shot an elite. It can two-shot them, which is still fast, but with the Nemesis, I can guarantee that one of the dangerous enemies dies. Same with the TAC 50, though, as well. And here's well with the D50 capped out, it caps out at around 10 million, which is fine for everything up to elites, meaning that as well, of course, the other great solo running around build is for 5 directive farming, which this competes up against is the HeadHunter Hunter's Fury with either Regulus or a Determined D50. And those... Well, on that build, especially the cap of the D50 is much higher, and a Regulus's cap is also much higher, of course. And they as well, they only really struggle with named enemies, but usually then as well, you just use them for territory controls, for public execution, stuff where you won't run into a named enemy anyway. And that's kind of the thing for me with this. I very much enjoy Hotshot for CPs, and I really enjoy doing CPs, so I quite enjoy running around with this. And then if I want to actually go a little bit faster in leveling, which it is, because yeah, CPs are a little bit slower in leveling, but they also give you field recon, they also give you blueprints if you're after that, they're also giving you specialization points if you're still getting those. So there is benefits there. But it's slower leveling than going around and just doing territory controls, public executions, propagandas, and hostage rescues, and some bounties here and there in between it as well. So each of those two builds has their own purpose. Skill-wise here as well, of course, if you're not running cool skills, a Revive Hive is quite a good option, especially even if for the seasons or places where you don't have cool skills, but you have the other one, which I forget the name of, where you pick up pickups and they restore your skills, then actually that's quite fine with the Reviver Hive, because you'll kill a bunch of things and you'll get your Reviver back up to full. And of course, even when you're using one skill, you're not putting the other one on cooldown. So yeah, that's quite handy. A Revive Hive is, of course, a great tool. But for this season, cool skills is active, so we're not going to use that. Let's move on to the range, where we'll be discussing some of the tactics. And before we head into the range and discuss it, let's actually first discuss Sharpshooter and some of its mechanics, just because they mesh with the other parts. First off, we have some increased headshot for rifles and marksman rifles specifically here. We have some increased stability as well. Both of those are quite great, but also for especially in the cases that will have Pistolero active, we can actually bypass that with one of its mechanics here, which I feel gets quite overlooked often because it's usually not required, especially if it's the other ammo directive for that season. But after 20 seconds in cover, you need to be in the same cover. You can't cover to cover in between. You'll get 5 marksman rifle, well, also 5 rifle ammo every 10 seconds. And basically, if you stick into cover for a while, you'll get some ammo, of course, but also if you're fighting a CP and you stay in cover, although sometimes you'll get pushed out of it, of course, by enemies, by grenades, by rushers, by airbursts. But if you can kind of sit in some cover, you'll get some ammo from this. But I also show another way, or the way that I usually start it all off by getting ammo. And of course, we have the drone and its mods. And the drone is, of course, like, I will show it here as well. And it's one of my favorite tools. One thing you do want to have as well is the scope of it, because it will increase your headshot by quite a lot. You'll lose a little bit of crit damage for it, but you will not care. And the TAC 50 bonuses are, of course, also kind of required. Yeah, let's head into the range. So we're going to discuss each of the separate parts here and kind of how that works. For instance, here for the first part, I've taken away Chain Killer, just putting glass chest. We're going to use a Nemesis, bypassing Determined. What Hotshot does is that it will, for each headshot kill that we get, you see on the bar it filling up. It is a third filled on the buff bar, then halfway, and then, or 2/3, and then full. Once it's full, it will stay full as long as you're getting headshots. Now, with Determined, of course, it will make even body shots or weak point hits on enemies headshots as well, so that will keep the chain going. But as long as you have it going, if you look at my ammo counter, for instance, on the Nemesis, it's at 6 shots, which is a full Nemesis. I will release this shot. It goes to 5 briefly and then shoots back up to 6. So each kill, that when it's happening, it is refilling the ammo. But also, once we have the 3 chain all together, we're receiving all 3 bonuses of the bonus armor. Bonus armor if you're at full armor, 10% armor if you're not at full armor, and also the plus 20% to headshot, or 20% amp if you do hit it. So one of the things is, though, that even if you miss, not even, for instance, Headhunter does not, you don't lose Headhunter if you just, for instance, just shoot a wall. Headhunter would stay up. Hotshot doesn't. Hotshot, you always need to just keep hitting head after head after head. And even if you hit, for instance, a body shot, but you still, for instance, were to kill with it or something, you would still lose the hotshot streak. Meaning that, you do want to hit headshots, although, of course, we're using something else to make most things headshots. But even, for instance, when there are barrels or something, and you kind of quite often would like shoot them to get an enemy out of cover, you can, but you'll lose your streak. Let's move on to Chain Killer and Headhunter and explain that. And next up, we're going to discuss Headhunter. And to discuss it in isolation, I've actually broken the 4-piece of Hotshot here just by putting a random piece in here. And we're going to use the Nemesis again to not have Determined active. So what Headhunter does is that your first shot, it is unbonused, basically, from Headhunter. It will just do the damage that it's going to do. You're not getting any bonuses. And that kind of as well means that unless you're actually using Headhunter and charging it up, so for instance, if you're just going to kill one hunter, for instance, in Countdown or something, Headhunter isn't really the good choice because, it really works from the second kill onwards. So when you kill and when you get a hit and headshot and store that amount, you will use that amount on the next shot. So for instance, here as well, if I turn on my damage numbers, and actually I will hit a body shot there, we're going to start with a headshot here. That's going to do 12 million, which is a fully charged up Nemesis shot, which, yes, it is a lot, but it's also not that much compared to, for instance, what it could do with a glass. On a second shot, we're already at 34 million. And then on our third shot, we're already full, and we'll get a little bit more and go to 53 million there. So we're getting the previous shots are basically feeding into the next shot. And that is what Headhunter does. And as well, it is a 30-second timer. So you do need to keep chaining it. And as well, annoyingly, as we have there, sometimes it disappears off of your buff bar, and you just have to guess if it's there or not. Although after a while, you'll get a feel for it. But basically what it means is that you basically want to get headshots and get kills with them so that you store those numbers for the next shot to get a kill with. And whenever you, for instance, body shot or something, as we have the Headhunter actually on the buff bar there again, just to show as well. So Headhunter does not get lost if you just miss. If you just whiff a shot and it does not hit a body part or anything, then you do not lose it. But if you hit a body shot, it will eat up whatever you had stored plus the damage of that shot, and it will do it. Meaning that usually, for instance, if before Determined existed, you would then still get a kill, but then you would need to start your chain off again and fill up back to those high numbers. Let's move on to Determined. And lastly, the mechanic, of course, of Determined. Determined makes, after you kill an enemy with a headshot, every subsequent hit on an enemy, body, weak point, or head, will count as a headshot. Now, that counts as well, for instance, for Hotshot's requirement of headshot. and of course as well for Headhunter's requirement of headshots and kills. So Determined is kind of bringing the whole band together. Here, for instance, I have Determined actually activated already, and I can body shot and actually, well, I turned off the damage numbers, but let's actually turn them back on just to show that we are getting red numbers there as we're getting 8.5 million hit, but we're shooting obviously the body, and we're getting a red number, which is a headshot number. And yeah, we could either hit the headshot, hit the body shot, or hit the headshot, or hit, you know, the right shoulder, or the left shoulder, or actually, will it kill a purple? It will. We can even shoot them in the groin. And yeah, everything basically turns into a headshot. Determined is basically like a poorly educated doctor going, yeah, sure, that's a headshot. You shot them in the kidney? Yeah, that's a headshot. Oh, you shot them in the left shoulder? Yeah, that's only a headshot. You basically are bribing a doctor to like just plagiarize your headshots for you. But yeah, that of course then feeds into whenever we have all three together, as we put back Chain Killer, we'll put back the fourth piece of Hotshot here just to complete the set. Meaning that even though Hotshot, for instance, has the requirement of hitting those headshots, we're gonna hit, we're gonna hit a headshot there just to get Determined going, and actually do another one just to get Headhunter to a decent amount. Although that shot should have actually been. From here on out, you can see that as long as I'm hitting body shots, I am not losing the chain of Hotshot. It is continuously going. The bar is staying full, even though, of course, I'm not hitting headshots here. What will still matter is if you miss. So, for instance, here I'm going to just hit the wall. I will lose the chain there. I will not lose Headhunter because Headhunter doesn't have that requirement, but we will lose the chain of Hotshot. And then, yeah, we have to build that back up. But then again, we can do that chain again by just doing body shots continuously. Here as well, let me actually swap to something and lose my Headhunter by shooting this guy. Seeing if we can get the Headhunter icon to reappear again if we do an actual headshot. Same as well, you can see that the Headhunter, once we've gotten it back on our buff bar, is filling back up. It's resetting the timer. That's obviously a headshot. This whole thing is a head, of course. This you would normally think that that part of a body is a head, but no, it turns out everything's a head. Everything must go. Meaning that once you have it going, the synergy of all three comes together, especially with Determined, of you being able to body shot continuously and just kill with that. And of course, as you see there, the shot, once Headhunter is full of the white debt here is 27 million and a bit. And yeah, that's more than enough to basically kill most things. So yeah, let's go into a CP and we'll take it into combat and kind of show it there and show it in practice. And here we're taking it into some CP4s. I have kept directives off here. We'll discuss it a little bit without first. This is just a CP4. One thing I wanted to show is sometimes this will work 50% of the time, so it might not today, as I'm going to call them in here. And hopefully it will not aggro them, as this is one of the few CPs where you're far enough away from them, even at the edge here, where you can call them in without actually aggroing the CP. Meaning that, yeah, my allies are on the way and they're not in aggro. This is completely not something useful. This will not really help you unless you're a really weak build and you need people to come help along without them, you would die right away. Here, we're without 5 directives, so I don't need to do anything for ammo or for vision or stuff like that. Although, of course, I still have my drone. I could have my revive hive as well still. I've chosen not to. We're basically still set up as for the 5 directive version. And yeah, my allies reached these enemies here and engaged them first, meaning that they are kind of engaged to them and are easier prey for me. I got a headshot on that one, a headshot kill. That was actually a lucky shot, I feel. And once we have one headshot in, I don't need to headshot anymore. We also have an elite convoy coming in here. I'm actually going to focus them down quickly. As yeah, they are behind me, which is a dangerous place for things to be. But once we have it going, once we have that first Headhunter stack going as well, the Determined stacked, well, that is active by having a headshot, we can, from that point on, do body shots continuously. These guys will in a second spawn from a sewer grate over there. So I'm actually I'm going to reposition here to be able to shoot them down real quickly. I'm going to wait for this guy, over aim it. Actually, they spawned from the building here on the left side. I'm going to kill that one.
I'm going to blow you to hell.
But yeah, rushers, of course, and stuff are priority targets, especially when they're that close. But one thing you can't do with Determined is, as I said as well, weak point hits will count as headshots and kill with them. So you can't actually pop the weak points on those rushers. That's really the only downside of this. You can't just pop those and have them kill their entire wave in one go. And yeah, here we have the next wave. I'm just gonna wait for this guy to come my way. I'm just gonna get out of there. I'm gonna get a fresh drone out actually. I can actually use this drone a little bit, as I could have pulled mine back a second ago. And the thing with this is, it isn't the fastest killer, of course. We could be running around here, for instance, Tech Tank, Hunter's Fury, Regulus or something, or even a Red Striker, of course, with maybe, you know, in a group, even, and killing these guys just as fast. Although here I'm one-shotting elites, which is pretty fast. Although Ouroboros now exists, like a striker, Red Striker could stand in front of that door together with one foam and kill that entire wave as well. There I just blind fired and got lucky. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And that's the last enemy. I'm just gonna wait it out. He'll peek eventually. And so we're gonna run through all this loot. My allies are still over there, fighting whatever is still over there. Hopefully not much by the time I reach it. Are you guys done yet? No, turns out they're not. As I almost shot that deer, as I thought it was a one of those lawnmowers. And yeah, there's also a marauder in the area. That's the thing I have marked, and hopefully it will not join this fight. That will be an annoying thing to fight with this build. But for the rest of it, as you see here, I'm just kind of snapshotting towards enemies. Body shots and getting headshots, kills for it. One thing that I feel a lot of people miss about why this is as well is good for XP. As well, first off, yeah, as I was talking about, a Red Striker can do it just as fast. It can't do it with the 5 directives that this build will be able to in a second. So here we're doing it without directives. In a second, we'll be turning on 5 directives, and a lot of builds will struggle at that point. This build won't. And basically, any of the 5 directives that open world could have aren't really an issue for a build like this, or for a Headhunter's Regulus, of course, which is the other great build that is for farming. But this is actually, I feel, a lot easier than a Regulus. With a Regulus, you still have to put yourself close in, be a little bit in danger. This really doesn't. You're pretty far away. You can, especially for CPs and such, it is quite easy because you have range on the enemy. These guys need to be, especially elites, will try to close the distance quite a lot before they start firing. And with CPs, of course, CP4s will have a lot of elites. And yeah, I likely, depending on how this fight goes, although I'm missing multiple shots there, of course, meaning that I will actually need a reload my White Death by myself there. But even then, because we have so much weapon handling, both from Hotshot and those 2 rolls, we're still doing it pretty fast. It's not as long of a reload as you're used to, maybe having used weapons like this. And of course, if we get 3 in a row, we get a free reload anyway. So there I do have Hotshot fully triggered. And yeah, every consecutive shot. Hitting, as long as I hit basically and get a kill with it, is going to refill the mag and keep me topped off. And there we did a CP and an accidental extra elite convoy just because they showed up and we had to. Let's move this up to 5 directives and discuss it under those circumstances. And yeah, for our next CP, we're going to go after another Outcast CP. We'll discuss in a second why Outcast so much. One thing we have now is 5 directives on. This season's directives are Cool Skills, Fog of War, No Regen, Pistolero, and Special Ammo. Pistolero, of course, is going to make it so that we would normally need to get pistol kills first before we get ammo. Or, of course, we can actually use that mechanic of Sharpshooter, where we go into cover for 20 seconds, then we'll get 5 rounds, and every next 10 seconds we'll get another 5 rounds. So you could actually just go sit here in cover for a little bit, get like 10 rounds, and then start shooting. And you'll likely not run out of ammo. But one other thing that you can do, and just to be certain that you have enough ammo, is while you can't open up ammo boxes, you can open up these special ammo boxes around the world. There's a ton of them, and for instance here, I know this one is here. This will give you 30 rounds to go along with the 30 rounds of special ammo. So it's giving you 30 rounds just to have those 30 rounds of special ammo. And that means that, yeah, we can just get that. We have 30 rounds now, and 30 rounds is more than enough to murder this entire CP, and we'll be going into cover here as well, and we'll be getting ammo along the way. And of course, Hotshot, if we are doing it right and getting enough of consecutive headshots, it will be refilling our ammo, meaning that we won't be using up any ammo, so we'll likely only be going up. I'm going to send in my drone, gonna headshot that purple. There's always one purple in a solo CP4, and yeah, that's always my first target. I headshot them, then I call them in, if I'm calling them in. Yeah, from that point on, we have enough of a headhunter stacked up, and we have determined proc at that point as well, meaning that from that point on, we can just body shot all these elites, and that's exactly what we're mostly going to do. I love this CP, especially on the assault part, because they'll all be coming out of that window, meaning that it's quite easy to, once you have it going and have cleared out these lower parts mostly, they'll just be over there, and you just do this and this and a little bit of missing, but then you'll hit once more, and while they're climbing through the window, you just do all that. And that was that CP assault. I'm gonna run over here and actually, ooh.
Incoming hostiles detected.
That did not kill him. Yeah, on heroic that will not kill. As yeah, we did have a rare instance of being able to shoot at a. So yeah, we needed more than that damage on heroic. That was actually a good thing to catch on camera. Although that did cost me my determined, of course, because we did not get a kill with it. But we'll fix that in a second, as we'll have these rushers come up and come through the window. Oh, and murder me, most likely. But that's also pretty okay, because I am actually going to respawn in. And we'll keep this footage going, because, of course, I very much enjoyed that I got to have a shot at a stalker hunter. We'll lose our ammo going back in, but we can fast travel back, and I'll actually show this and keep this in. Mostly as well to show how to go back in, and that's also one of the reasons why we call in our allies. I know there's special ammo here, so I'm going to just go grab that and be my ammo. Otherwise, I would have done a pistol kill, because it's also not too hard to get a pistol kill off, especially if you, what I would have as well is my TAC 50 would be filled up by this point. I could get a headhunter kill with it, then swap to my pistol and have a really strong shot, basically a full headhunter shot of the pistol, and use that to get a kill, grab ammo, start working on getting determined on the rifle backup, and then go from there. It is, of course, sometimes a little bit awkward to get the chain going there. For instance, if I had the chain there, I could have, because I did get a shot, a body shot onto one of those rushers, but I had lost my determined, and that body shot was just a body shot, not the headshot It would have been if I hadn't taken a pot shot at that stalker. But of course, when a stalker like that shows up, especially when you're recording something, how could you not? How could you not take that pot shot? I was kind of certain he would not die from it, but turns out that that was the case. As yeah, those guys show up, you can kill them. There are confirmed reports of killing them, but usually with the world set on normal and like just getting lucky with having HeadHunter procced or something in the same way that I had there, and them turning around and just taking a pot shot at that thing and killing them. They do not drop loot. They do not have a separate mask or anything. Well, they can drop loot, but just as a normal enemy. So they might or might not, in the same way that when you kill just a random enemy anywhere. Here, I'm going after even more, of course, Outcasts. The reason I am going after Outcasts, and this build is very strong against Outcasts. That's kind of the reason I'm using it in that way, is that Outcasts, of course, don't have any archetypes that have helmets. For instance, rushers from hyenas have helmets, and for instance as well, of course, True Sons LMGs, Riker LMGs. None of the Outcasts have that, and especially a helmet would of course eat up our shot. Here we're basically guaranteed, as long as the heavy doesn't spawn in, that each shot will kill an enemy just outright. Let's move on to one more CP of Outcast, and then we'll actually go after a different faction. And here again, we're going after the Nest, which is another easy and popular one. As well, here, coming from the safe house, there is special ammo along the way. So I'm just grabbing that as my way of getting some ammo into my sniper rifle. And yeah, special ammo is really nice for that. I'm not really even using it for its fire potential or anything, because mostly we're killing with one shot. And again, I'm kind of looking around for where the purple is. I'm not popping my drone yet. My drone, of course, is a very strong tool, and I will definitely use it in a second. But they will spot it, and they will also aggro off of it. So I'm kind of just poking around, trying to spot the purple. He's likely somewhere inside. She or he is likely inside somewhere, or maybe around the back or over there-ish. I'm going to send in my drone. And what I'll actually do is instead start off with attack 50, although actually, of course, I missed that shot. I didn't miss that shot. I now have a Headhunter stacked in. I don't have Determined procced yet, so I do need my next shot to be a headshot. I can miss, that's fine, but I can't hit a body shot. There I hit the headshot, continuing the proc of Headhunter, and then getting Determined, and from that point on I can just continuously sit here and body shot. I'm gonna call in my allies. Also my decoy, I'm just gonna drop it at my feet here. And I'm totally there, guys. Shoot over there. I'm gonna be over here and deal with you guys. And yeah, decoy and stuff is quite useful, of course, as I hit the thing right in front of my head. And one thing is, of course, you'll get better at aim. Although if you're already good with aim, this will actually worsen your aim, because you'll go for body shots. And while Determined, of course, is very strong and is very good for speed, kind of like Headhunter as well. Technically, you could do more damage, of course, if you had, for instance, a weapon with a damage challenge. But here, you don't need that damage challenge. You're much better off with the utility of Determined, making it easy to just tap shots out, because while you could go for the head and actually do headshots like that one, those take time and you might miss and also give up your hot shot at that point. Here, you won't. So here I have hot shot procced all the way, but let's say this gas can was somewhere I wanted an enemy to get out, or I want to clean at this just to be sit there. I kind of have to give up my hot shot streak. Oh, as they are coming from this side, and I did not realize that. But I have Determined, so I'm pretty confident in getting that guy down, because I just need to body shot him. I don't need to headshot him. Or even hit his flames, and even if I did hit his flames, it will not explode, because it will count as a headshot. So it is kind of safe against those guys, as long as you of course have enough of a Headhunter and Determined procced. As yeah, earlier on, of course, we did die to one of those rushers. We got hugged away. And the drone here is an MVP, as there are lines coming off of it, going to the enemy. Even before they were spotted, you can kind of, I often just look at my drone when the next wave spawns and just go like, where are they? And it very easily shows me here, for instance, as well. I just look towards it. Oh, the next wave is coming from there, even before it spots them. And yeah, that is such a powerful tool, especially, of course, at 5 directives as well, because Fog of War will always be one of the 5 directives in open world. There is that one does not cycle or does not have an equivalent in other ways. Here we have an LMG. I used up my, it ate up my Determined there because I did not kill him with that headshot, just because he has too much health and armor. But he's put low enough that if I'm not being body blocked by my allies, although they'll actually finish him off here, and I might actually let him. He would be just one more headshot away from being a dead man. So yeah, you do use it up, but they're actually really the only archetype in LMG named, not even heavy or LMG like just elites, but only their LMG named or heavies will require a follow-up shot basically to the head. And that's kind of why I do love Outcasts. But I'll love one other faction as well, and let's go fight them, which is Cleaners.
Yeah, all right.
And we're heading into some Cleaners. Here I haven't picked up special ammo, and that gives us a moment to talk in a second, as I'm gonna go in here and take some cover. They've aggroed to, not me, something else, which is that guy over there, who's being a hero. I'm gonna sit here in cover for 20 seconds and use that with Survivalist. I will get some ammo at the 20-second mark, which is 5 rounds. Those will go into my weapon, and then every subsequent 10 seconds I will get another 5 rounds. And that's kind of enough to get going. And those 5 rounds are actually enough for me. So I'm just gonna start it off. And we're going here after City Hall, especially because, yeah, the Cleaners as well are a great faction to fight. Because usually the one archetype that they have that usually is annoying for headhunters and such, which is their shields. Because usually if you do not have Determined, their shields eat up your headhunter. Here, if you actually hit the shields, that will kill them as well. That will kill the enemy behind the shield, which is quite useful. Making them a faction where, again, the thing that they have that is a little bit annoying is what happened to me there, which is their drone, which is like very, very much made to put agents out of cover. That exists, and they have, of course, the mortars, which also are very good against stationary targets, which someone playing this build usually is. But against that, they don't have anything, again, with helmets except their heavies, making them quite an easy faction to deal with for Headhunter. So everything that they have really, unless a heavy spawns, will die to one shot. And here I'm just shooting, well, actually I hit him in the body, but the other one I hit on the shield and he died from it. I'm gonna kill him first because he annoyed me with his drone. So I took that personally. The named is somewhere behind me. I'm leaving them till last. Mostly because we're gonna just trade places. I'm gonna leave my decoy behind here even, just so he's amused by that for a few seconds. And I have 20 rounds now. And yeah, we started, of course, with no ammo, but with me being in cover here and there for 10 seconds, yeah, we've actually increased our ammo count. And yeah, I'm in a position they won't really easily reach. I can see them coming from miles away. My drone is going to spot them for me. My allies will be here in a little bit as well. And yeah, this isn't going to be a good day for the Cleaners. And that's kind of what this build is really great for. This is, well, like, if you wanted to snipe from here, really, you would have to, you're pretty far, and yeah, trying to get headshots like you can, but it's too much of a hassle. A body with legs attached to it as well is a much bigger target than a head, which I feel is one of my quotes that some will quote for me, like no shit, but yeah, stating the obvious is sometimes required. As my allies are coming in, they will likely not even trigger in combat because nothing will get close enough to fire at us, likely. Just because, yeah, as they're coming in, we just end some poor folks' lives just by that.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
And this is quite why this is very strong against CPs, especially because on CPs you quite often can, on the attack phase, set yourself up where you have a place where you can kill basically everyone. And on the defense, you have a lot of CPs like this, where you have a high ground advantage that you can take. And it's quite common for a lot of the CPs. Now, of course, I cherry-picked somewhat the CPs that we went to. But on a lot of CPs, oh, rogues, nice. I was hoping for these. As I'm going to swap over to the Nemesis, load a shot in. I'm hoping I still have my HeadHunter. If I have my HeadHunter, this will be a one-shot kill. I'm going to over-aim it. It was barely not, but this is the reason I have the Nemesis. I follow-up shot it, but I should have actually charged up more so that I stored more into my HeadHunter. They are aggro to my allies, and that's really great for me because I'm just gonna sit here and do 15 million shots against them. And I have a decoy even. I'm gonna leave that guy over there.
Hostile striker drone detected.
I'm gonna go through the railing here. They're healing, which is super annoying, of course.
Vital signs critical.
But so am I, so it's only fair. I'm hoping they run out of their hive, because yeah, this will be somewhat more of a slog now. If I had actually Nemesis correctly on that first enemy and gotten the kill with a high up Nemesis shot, then I could have followed it up by hitting them in the head as well when the Nemesis shot and finishing it off. But this is the reason I have the Nemesis, is for rogues like this and sometimes other stuff where you don't have any charge saved up, but you just need to do a lot of damage, because the White Death, actually, let's see what the White Death does here. Because I think it does like 2 point something million if I get a headshot with it. Which will mostly happen 6 million. But yeah, that's half of the Nemesis, and I of course need to like land the shots. So I would much rather do 110 like that than have to sit there to do two 5s or 12s. And there we go.
Agent eliminated.
And we took down 2 rogues as well. And yeah, the Nemesis is there for that. The other choice, of course, that we usually, or I usually put in that spot is the Mantis. And the Mantis is quite good as well if you're not going for Determined. I would likely choose that as my weapon at that point, as especially it has the function of just showing where the head is. And a lot of people go like, well, you know where the head is, right? Do you really? When there's fog up, when there's smoke up, when there's explosion from Reanimated up, do you really still know where the head is? With the Mantis, you do. So yeah, we got some random stuff out of it. But yeah, let's actually do a few activities next up. And yeah, here we are in the middle of a territory control. I snuck in a little bit and went a little bit more close range than I actually should want to. I'm going to pull out my drone. We're still on 5 directives. Especially on activities, most of the things will have reds and purples. More reds, especially as well, because in CPs you will not have reds at all at CP4 level. With the first wave, it will be 1 purple and the rest elite. That's consistent always. But yeah, especially with reds, of course, you can start the chain with the red, which is quite handy. While this build can be used quite effectively for farming activities, I especially love it for CPs, where you could prefer to have more range, and I do prefer to have more range. Because with activities, there is just a better option, is more the thing than this. Especially if you're decent at actually getting headshots, although at closer range especially. And that is that you could go HeadHunter Regulus with either the high-end or the Hunter's Fury version. Because especially a Regulus, where you know where they're going to spawn, for instance here, you could have killed everything over there, you could have turned around, 1 headshot would have killed this entire wave, and you would have done it a lot faster than I did there. Not that this was slow, But yeah, both of them can do it well. And of course, both of them are especially in the context of 5 directives. Because both of these builds aren't the fastest builds in general, especially not if no directives aren't. But, well, Regulus Headhunter in its 2 variants, or Hotshot with Determined in here, those all can deal with 5 directives really well. They really aren't hampered by it, really. As yeah, here as well, we're going after propaganda. I've put my drone here. They will spawn from grates, and especially with something like this, where I know where they're going to spawn, this is going to be extremely easy. As they come out of the sewers, I will just headshot them. They have 2 spawn points here, and yeah, while they're coming up, I don't even, of course, need to headshot them. We'll have another wave just because I killed that wave too fast. Although, of course, I killed it too fast also to kill it. And again, we'll be getting a ton of headshot accolades from all of this. That helps a lot of XP as well, because that does add up over time. It is, for instance, again, with CPs, you're getting another 70-ish K extra per CP. That adds up to be a CP every 10 CPs extra. So instead of having where other builds would have to do 11 CPs, kind of, even if they did it with 5 directives as well, but weren't getting the same amount of headshots. For instance, even a Regulus build doesn't get the same amount of headshots as this does, just because the kills happening, it gets more multi-kills, but those give actually less accolade XP than headshots do. And that, yeah, adds up quite a lot over time. But especially having a ton of consecutive headshots within one combat. Here, for instance, that was an extra 7.8k, meaning that I basically doubled the kill XP from those. Now, that isn't much, but still, it adds up over time. And here again, we just have another wave. And yeah, this is very much a little bit overpowered, in my opinion. But of course, it is available. It isn't glitch. It isn't something weird that we're doing or setting up or, you know, doing a thing. We're just using the tools provided to us by the devs. It is up to the devs if they want this to be this way. And this has now been in the game for more than a season, meaning that at this point I am comfortable discussing it. Let's move on and turn on Reanimated, which is available for another week here. And of course, in the future, we'll rotate around back again. And we'll discuss how disgustingly overpowered this becomes once you have this build together with Reanimated. And yeah, while we have Reanimated now turned on, there's one other place I want to show off real briefly. We're here over at Liberty Skull, which is Southwest's safe house. If you go out here, well, you of course spawn back there. If you go south side of this, there is actually some ammo here. And this is quite often if I'm like, don't know where special ammo is near a CP or something, I will come down here and just grab this. These are stagger rounds, so they're not the most useful rounds, but they're still 30 rounds. And you can bypass Pistolero with that. And I think this is likely the fastest place, the nearest special ammo to a fast travel point. From that point out, you should not fast travel to any safe houses, because yeah, when you go to safe houses, that is when either safe houses or shared spaces, basically all shared spaces, which safe houses are by inherently, there you will lose all your ammo again. So what you can do is either go to the White House, theater, campus, or castle, any of the missions, DZ gates, or any CPs you've already captured. You can fast travel to those or even classifieds and not lose your ammo. But if you were to go to any of the shared spaces like the safe houses, you would lose your ammo again. But usually if I need some ammo, I come here, I get it from here, and then I go and travel to, for instance, here, we're going to go hit Sleeping Giant. I'm going to fast travel to Potomac and then make the short walk over there, and then we'll do that CP with Reanimated on. And yeah, here we're pushing up to Sleeping Giant. We have Reanimated on. And Reanimated, of course, synergizes really well with this, because we're now going up from being able to headshot a purple to start off with to headshotting an elite to start it off with. And of course, every head pops, they're damaging each other with it. And especially for the Reanimated, I quite enjoy this build, of course, and of course Regulus builds and stuff as well. Although I will say that this build, or doing CPs with it, leveling is of course a lot slower with CPs than it is with activities. You could be doing activities and getting around even without too much of a hassle, especially with a determined build. So even if you don't have the Regulus, I feel with the Regulus you're a little bit faster. But even without it, you can quite easily reach the 20 levels per hour mark if you really go for it. With CPs, that is out of reach. Now, of course, this build can do activities, but it isn't really made for them because most activities are a lot more shorter. I'm gonna actually call in my allies here, just so they're coming already. And let's finish this off. And yeah, our cap, of course, has gone now into the 40-ish millions, meaning that everything dies once we've hit the cap. And of course, yeah, again, we can just start even with the elite. I'm gonna leave my decoy here just in case they are coming from there, and I'm gonna change places with these guys as you're now. I'm defending this place, and yeah, my decoy there caused that rusher to run into it and blow himself up, creating a nice inferno over there as a distraction for a little bit. And yeah, the thing that with Reanimated then happens is it's even easier to use this. And of course, you're getting those stars, and those stars can be very valuable. You can get name caches, you can get exotic caches. And yeah, the mixture of those two is very strong for this build. But yeah, it would be remiss to not say that a Regulus build, either in high-end or in Hunter's Fury, could outlevel this pretty consistently. But that isn't always the important thing, because as well, CPs give field recon, CPs give blueprints, CPs give specialization. And especially, of course, I've been working on a newer account, newer character on it as well. And I've been using this build, although a little less optimized, a little worse in its stats, missing a headshot here and there, kind of. But especially trying to get those blueprints has been a great tool to use this, especially now as well with Reanimated. And I've gotten through all of the blueprints at this point just by doing a ton of CPs and using this build to do it. And of course, getting me some field recon along the way. We have a convoy coming in, but we'll leave it here as we've seen quite a lot of this one. And there, I didn't really show what Reanimate does with it, just that it's even easier, although that doesn't come through in the footage, but you'll just have to try it out for yourself. As, yeah, again, this build as well is not hard to make. Chain Killer is very easy to get. Backpack, even with worse stats or even just a Vigilance backpack from a crit build would even work. And the 4 pieces of Hotshots already drop with red, of course. So it's pretty easy to put together. The weapon with Determined is usually the hardest thing to find. Let's actually engage these. I said we weren't, but let's anyway. Although these will likely just spawn one guy in the back. And yeah, just having one shot, one kill happen consistently is quite strong. And then this really makes it not feel like 5 directives. One oddity here that we'll have is, of course, that when convoys are down here, they will only spawn one enemy per wave. So actually killing him and then killing him will actually finish that elite convoy, which is just the oddity of this place. It doesn't spawn correctly. Let's move over back where we started this whole ordeal and talk about my final thoughts. And yeah, we have reached the conclusion of this Determined HeadHunter Hotshot build. HeadHunter, of course, already always was quite the beast and quite strong. Hotshot, when it came in, it had some utility, but it wasn't the strongest. It was oftentimes outclassed by Tip of the Spear, which of course now has been altered to be something completely different. But especially the introduction of Determined has completely altered how to play this build. As in the past, of course, we were still going for headshots. Now with how Determined is, and this is only as well, I should say, only normal Determined works this way, as Perfect Determined on the Prophet and on the Relic actually works the way most of us would hope Determined would work, which is that if you get a body shot, it will keep your Headhunter up, but you will lose your Determined at that point, even if you do get a kill with it. And then you would need to get a headshot again to proc Determined, meaning that you could go headshot, body shot, or just some body shots here and there as a safety, just you want something dead real quick. But yeah, of course, as we all know now, with Determined how it is now, that's not how normal Determined work, which is that you can just continuously body shot after the first one, which is also the wording how it is nowadays. And that feels a little bit cheesy and a little bit overpowered. But of course, it is not really doing anything outside of the mechanics provided to us by the developers. And really, it's up to the developers to, for me at least, to come out and say if they actually truly do intend it to work this way and just justify it to us, kind of why they are okay with this, or alter it back to how they had patched it quite a while ago, or how basically Perfect Determined currently still works, where it basically gives you one safety net shot, but isn't the overpowered thing that it is now. Because especially as well, the synergy between Determined, Headhunter especially, that really makes it overpowered. And then basically Hotshot is there too, and tagging along as the little brother. It is still providing that 20% amp to headshots. And of course, Determined is making everything a headshot, and it's giving that heal. But especially what it's doing is giving us utility in the form of that extra ammo, and that's quite strong. Although, of course, as long as we're kind of in cover as well, we could get the same utility kind of out of sharpshooter, just slower and less reliably, because sometimes, yeah, you can't be in cover, or you just want to run and gun as well, which is quite viable with this. And this makes it very much my choice, for instance, with CPing, as even, of course, now with Reanimated active, it is very strong for it. Regularly, it is without Reanimated as the global event of the times. It is still very strong, and I've used it very much, especially, as I said, with my newer account, to go around and CP farm a lot and make that my main activity, and get a lot of the blueprints and get a lot of field recon. And especially, of course, the other side of the coin for this one is you could go for a build with a D50 with Determined. And for those, of course, it's more Headhunter's Hunter's Fury, or a high-end variant. Although, of course, a high-end variant as well can go with rifles like a classic Monet or 1886, and those work really good as well. And those especially as well, with the rifles, more of a mid-range, with the pistol, more of a short range, provide other ways of playing them, and we'll likely touch on them in the future as well. As especially, for instance, with Reanimated, yeah, Determined D50 really works well. Even better than Regulus, I would say, because Regulus does leave a lot of collateral on the ground that you have to clear up afterwards with Reanimated. Of course, outside of Reanimated, the Regulus is the king again, really, I would say, as it can clear a wave completely in one shot. But yeah, that is very much what Hotshot has become for me. It is my farming build for when I really need to farm. 5 directives, going CPs. Although if I'm really going after levels, I would, for instance, yeah, grab something like a Headhunter's Hunter Fury with a Regulus, and then use that to go, especially after activities which give more XP per hour. Just because you do, while they are less XP per activity done versus CPs, you're just doing so many more of them. But especially what is the strong suit of all of those builds that I just mentioned is that they can do it with 5 directives, and they really don't care about what 5 directives are active per season. And yeah, that is very much what makes them not just great and like well-powered, but maybe even a little bit overpowered. But yeah, as I said as well in the video at first, this is very much the dark side. And they kept saying they have cookies, and it turns out their cookies are pretty good. And they were determined to give me their cookies, and now I am determined as well. And I've given up the fight of fighting determined. So yeah, it is time to join the dark side and have some determined cookies to toss at enemies and pop their heads. And yeah, that very much concludes this video, as I very much enjoyed putting it together. As yeah, it was not very numbers intensive, as that really doesn't matter, of course, to a determined build at all. But yeah, we did go, of course, into some tactics. For my next video, it's going to be the damage calculation especially, and that's going to then get followed up by the next, with some videos in between of rambling talks and such, with some the weird tech tanks, which is several tech buff build based tech tanks that I'm going to show off in a build showcase altogether. And as well, if you're interested in more information of Reanimated, I already have an OnlyTips on it, which I'll link down below as well. Also down below, I'll link to our Discord, or well, my Discord, and several people helping me there, making it our Discord. And yeah, in there we are mostly just coordinating and just getting together if we want to run some stuff together or need comms for incursions and such. But we're trying to make it the place to hang out, and everybody's welcome to join over there. And yeah, I hope you join us either on the Discord or over on Twitch or over in my next videos. And the only thing left is for me to say, have a good night.